God of creation is a God of beauty. He's a God of great beauty, yet He is an invisible God. He created physical beauty to illustrate His invisible beauty, the beauty of the Godhead. Now we'll look at that beauty of the biological world. First of all, that beauty is deep. By this I mean that it is beautiful. The biological world is beautiful at every scale. No matter what size you look at, no matter how far you zoom in or how far you step back, there is beauty in the creation. This is in contrast to human created beauty. If we have beauty in a painting or beauty in a tapestry, it's made to be appreciated at one distance. If you get too close, the beauty of the tapestry disappears as you see only the individual threads. If you get too close, the beauty of a painting disappears as you see the individual brush strokes. And if you get too far away, you can't see it as well. In contrast, that's the way it is with human beauty. Human created beauty is, in a sense, one-dimensional. It's somewhat shallow in its beauty. But in the creation, it's quite different. At some level, you look at the mountains from a distance, purple majesty, and it's like, whoa, they're beautiful. You get closer to the mountains and you see individual mountains. It's different, but still awesomely beautiful. At a distance, you see a flock of birds. You get in close, you're in the midst of the flock of birds, and it's awesomely beautiful. Get closer and see an individual bird, and it's beautiful. You get closer and you see an individual feather, and it's awesome. You get closer under a microscope, and the barbs and barbules are beautiful. You get closer into the cells, and they're still beautiful. There's no end. And if you backed up beyond the mountains into satellites and looked at the beauty of the earth, you're stunned by its beauty. If you step back and look at the hugeness of creation, it's awesomely beautiful at every scale. No matter how close, no matter how far, the beauty of God's creation is universal. It's everywhere. It's deep. It's at every scale. It's also ubiquitous. It is everywhere, no matter where you go. No matter, it's not only not every size, it's every place. If you go to one planet versus another planet, one star to another star to another star, from one organism to another organism, from the bottom of the ocean to the top of the mountains, everywhere you go, there is beauty. God filled the universe with beauty. The biological beauty in particular is everywhere that organisms can be, and it's awesome where they can be. They can be under the ice, and they can be in hot springs, and they can be deep beneath the earth, miles beneath the earth. Wherever biological beauty is wherever biology is, and that's pretty much everywhere on this planet, it's beautiful. Biological beauty is deep. It is ubiquitous. He makes all things beautiful in His time. Not only is it beautiful, but if it ever gets messed up, if that beauty is ever compromised, God makes things beautiful in His time. In biology, for example, we have this phenomenon called community succession. Let's say some disaster wipes out a set of organisms. A glacier comes through and wipes out a forest. A forest fire comes through and wipes out a forest. Humans come through and wipe out a forest. Something destroys the biology in a particular region. God has designed the system in such a way that there are organisms that come back in and ultimately restore that biology in that particular area by a process we call community succession. He's designed certain organisms we call pioneer species that come in first. There are certain species of plants and animals that come into devastated areas and thrive under those circumstances. There's things called lichens, for example, that are designed. They're a combination of a fungus and an algae, an alga. Singular is alga, plural is algae. A lichen is something that can exist in, let's say, a desert where there isn't enough water for most plants to live, and there certainly isn't enough water for an alga to live that requires water. So the alga lives inside a fungus that is designed to pull water out of the atmosphere. It's amazing. God created fungi in particular with the amazing ability to pull in, to suck things in. Unlike us, where we take things into our body, food into our body, digested on the inside, fungi does it's sort of the opposite. They send digestive juices outside the fungus, digest the thing outside the body, and then suck in the things they want, the water they want, the nutrients they want. So they're amazing suckers, if you wish. They're very efficient at pulling things into the body from the outside. So in the lichen, the fungus is extremely efficient at pulling in water from even the desert air. They're so efficient to pull in water that they pull in enough water to provide, if you wish, a swimming pool for the alga that needs the water to survive. So even in a desert, the alga has water, and the alga has the ability, been designed by God with photosynthesis, to be able to take light from the sun, carbon dioxide from the air, water provided by the fungus, and create food, not just for himself, but for the fungus. So this is this great cooperation between two organisms, where these two organisms can exist in a dry desert environment. It can go into a place even after, let's say, the ice has come through and wiped everything else out and there's no soil. They can stick themselves on a rock. They don't need soil. They can use the light from the sun, the water from the atmosphere, and produce all the food they need. But in the process, they produce some acids that begin breaking down the rock and begin producing soil for the next stage of organisms to come in and live in that soil. These pioneer species, like lichens and all sorts of other organisms designed for this purpose, prepare the soil for the next group. So the next group very often includes plants that can fix nitrogen, meaning they can take nitrogen out of the atmosphere and put it into an organic molecule that other organisms can use. It's amazing, as abundant as nitrogen is. It's 78% of the Earth's atmosphere. We breathe it in and out all the time. Nonetheless, it's a molecule that's held together with such strength that we can't pull the nitrogen atoms apart from one another. We can't use the nitrogen. We need the nitrogen, but we can't get it out of the air that we breathe in and out. But God has designed special organisms, bacteria, called nitrogen-fixing bacteria, that actually are able, they're designed to take that nitrogen molecule, break it apart, and put the nitrogen into forms that other organisms can use. And so some of the first, following the pioneer species, there will be some plants carrying these nitrogen-fixing bacteria that can actually fertilize the soil. The nitrogen-fixing bacteria will actually make the soil more fertile than the soil was before. The plants, common plants that do this are bean plants, pea plants, legumes do this. So the soil wasn't very fertile to start with, but by the time this group of plants comes through, they actually make the soil more fertile. Now you can bring in further communities of organisms. Now plants can come in that need that fertilizer. They can grow, increase what's available for other things to eat. It goes through a series of types of organisms until you reach what's called a climax community, a community that finally has restored that area with all the organisms, with the diversity of organisms, the beauty of organisms that was originally there before the catastrophe. This amazing process of community succession is created by God to restore beauty anytime it is lost. The effect of this is that beauty is everywhere, and in places where it's been compromised, it's on the way to being reintroduced into those locations. But beauty isn't just, biological beauty, isn't just deep, which it is. It isn't just profound, it isn't just ubiquitous everywhere, which it is. It's also profound. It's awe-inspiring. The beauty is not just pretty, it's really pretty. It awes us. It has inspired humans for all of human history into art. Humans have tried to simulate the beauty of creation. We take a trail up and get to the top and see the sunset, and we're just awed by it. Beauty has this ability to put us into a state of awe. If you don't know what that means, this is what it kind of looks like. Fly flies in, fly flies out. Person gets up, they get to a bend in the trail, and they see an amazing scene in front of them, and they just go, that person is in the midst of an awe experience. The creation's beauty is not just everywhere, and it's not just at every scale. It is awesome. It blows our socks off. There's so much beauty there that it, in fact, moves us and inspires us. But that beauty is also what I call multifaceted. If you look at the beauty of something from one direction and turn it a bit, it's got beauty at a different angle. Kind of like a diamond with many facets or faces. You cut it so that it's got all sorts of different facets or faces. And as you turn the diamond, the light sparkles on different faces, and it makes it dynamic, makes it change. And beauty of the biological world is like that. You pick up something that's beautiful in the biological world and you turn it, and the beauty remains at every angle. It sparkles in a different way. It reflects in a different way. It shows beauty in every perspective, from every perspective. There are people that get on the Appalachian Trail, for example, and travel for miles and miles, thousands of miles. Why do these people do it? Some do it just because once they've started, they're gonna get to that end. But others do it because there's something about walking around the next bend. You expect a beauty that you haven't seen before, even though it's all forest or whatever. There's always a different beauty around every bend, around every turn. In fact, for that matter, you could walk the same trail at different times of the same day and see a different beauty, see it from a different perspective. And it's not only that it's always changing like that, it's also beauty in different ways. It stimulates different senses. In God's creation, in God's biological creation, there's beauty of sound, like the sounds of birds. There's beauty of vision, the vision of butterflies and that sort of thing. There's beauty of smells. There's beauty of feels. Every sense, every human physical sense is stimulated by the beauty of the biological creation. And it impacts every human. I have people say, well, beauty is just in the eyes of the beholder. If I were to just accept that statement at face value, there's still something true. No matter what a person's perspective is of beauty, there's something in the biological world that blows their socks off. There is something beautiful in the biological world. No matter what a person's perspective of beauty is, the biological world is beautiful in those people. Biological beauty is also something that, I say, sparkles. It changes. It's ever-changing, ever-moving. It's vibrant. It's exciting. It's dynamic. Beauty has all of these characteristics. Biological beauty is deep, ubiquitous, profound, multifaceted, sparkling. It's awesome. So where does it come from? Where does it come from? It's there. There's a lot of it, and it's got these characteristics. Where does beauty come from? In the worldview of naturalism, natural selection is the process that chooses the things that survive. According to naturalism, evolution is the process by which everything came to be. And in the theory of evolution, natural selection is the thing that chooses from among the things that exist, those things that are going to survive. The study of natural selection has led biologists to conclude that natural selection tends to select things that aren't pretty. This is the problem here, because if you, let's say you have two organisms, one of them is natural selection is going to choose one organism over the other. They are otherwise very similar, but they differ in beauty. If one organism is using a bunch of its food, a bunch of its biological energy to be beautiful, to stay beautiful, but the other is using that energy to be stronger, to be faster, to have more offspring, natural selection is going to choose the one who doesn't invest in beauty, but invests in something that makes them survive better. And it's been realized by evolutionary biologists, evolutionary theorists for a very long time, for centuries literally, that this is a problem in evolutionary theory. And the reason it's a problem is because we see a lot of beauty in the world. The question is, why does that beauty exist if natural selection, when given a choice, will choose things that are less beautiful over things that are beautiful? How does beauty get there in the first place? And then once it's there, how does it stay? The classic example, and we see it even in the writings of Charles Darwin, is the tail of the peacock. Why is the tail of the peacock so pretty? Why is it so long? Why are the feathers so long? Why are they so beautiful? And here's the dilemma. That tail, though beautiful, doesn't seem to be helping the peacock. The longer the tail gets, the easier it is for a predator to grab the peacock before he takes off. It's harder for peacocks to survive if they've got a more beautiful and bigger tail. If they invest more energy into having a more beautiful tail, they're putting less energy into surviving better. So it would seem that natural selection, intuitively, you would expect that natural selection would choose kind of the uglier peacocks over the more beautiful peacocks. So why is it that peacock tails are so pretty? Charles Darwin suggested the reason was because peahens choose prettier guys, prettier peacocks. Well, that would seem to solve it, except for one problem. Question is, why do the peahens choose the prettier guys? Because if you had two peahens, one who tended to choose the uglier but stronger peacocks, and the other peahen that chose the more beautiful peacocks, the peahen that chose the peacock that's going to survive will have offspring that survive better. So natural selection should choose the peahen that chooses the ugly peacocks, and not the peahen that chooses the beautiful peacocks. So evolutionary theory has never been able to solve this problem. Beauty tends to be selected against by natural selection. It's not selected for, so it's not clear where the beauty comes from. And then even once the beauty comes into being, natural selection would tend to take the beauty out. So the thing is, though, that biological beauty isn't just there. It is everywhere. It is deep. It is ubiquitous. It is awesome. It is sparkling. There's a lot of it, and it's everywhere. So where in the world does this come from? It doesn't make sense in a naturalistic worldview. It would appear that the only way to explain the awesome amount of beauty in the world is that there was a God of beauty who wants us to see His beauty, so He filled the creation with beauty. That would explain the amount and the type of biological beauty there is, which would not be explained in naturalism. In fact, if you think about it, if natural selection has been operating in the world since the beginning, then natural selection has taken out a bunch of the beauty in the world. This world is still beautiful even after that, so the original creation would even be more beautiful than the creation we have today. Natural selection cannot explain the beauty that we have in the world about us. It's only explained by a God of beauty who desires us to see His beauty in the creation. This would explain the deep, ubiquitous, profound, multifaceted, sparkling aspect of biological beauty. It also explains another thing. It explains why humans appreciate beauty. After all, let's say we're early in the evolution of humans and somebody comes along in the human group and they appreciate beauty. Let's say they stop on the trail and they're just awed by a sunset. Well, that's not a very good situation for a human if there are predators around trying to kill humans. In the middle of an awe experience, it's really easy to kill off humans. So it would seem that natural selection should take out humans who are appreciating beauty, because they are not going to survive as well as the humans that don't care about the beauty. So even the human appreciation of beauty is something that's explained by a God who created us to appreciate the beauty so as to know God, and it's not explained by naturalism. For example, why can we see color? Wouldn't we be able to survive quite well without seeing color? I mean, there are organisms that can't see color. Horses can't see color. We could get along quite well without seeing color. Why do we see color? It's unnecessary unless God wants us to see that beauty that He put in the creation. He gave us the ability to see color so that we could appreciate God's beauty. God creating the creation so that we can see His beauty explains such things as our appreciation of beauty and even our ability to see color. So what are we to do with this information about biological beauty? First of all, our responsibility as priests is to know God. As we study biological beauty, as we see more of the biological beauty about us, we are impressed with the beauty that's there. We learn more and more about the beauty of God. When we see the spectrum of perfection of beauty, we see organisms that are really beautiful, organisms that are not so beautiful, maybe some organisms that you think are just downright ugly. When you consider the spectrum of perfection of beauty, your mind sort of puts those in a line from the very ugly things to the beautiful things to the very most beautiful things. And your mind extrapolates beyond to something that's even more beautiful than the most beautiful thing that you know of. You're convinced, or your mind is lifted towards this thing of infinite beauty, which is God Himself. We learn about God's unlimited beauty by studying biological beauty. When we see this beauty, the fact that it sparkles, changes, vibrant, we understand that the God of beauty is an active God, is always active, is everywhere present. We learn something about the vibrancy of God. We see God's creativity, the beauty, so many different kinds of beauty in the world, beauty of every sense, and so many different ways, thousands of species of birds, thousands of species of flowers, tens of thousands of species of orchids. God is so creative to have created all of that, to put all that beauty in. We're impressed with God's awesome creativity. God's being everywhere is indicated by the fact that we find beauty everywhere. God is everywhere in the universe, and it's illustrated by the beauty that we find everywhere. The more we learn about beauty, the more we're impressed with God's presence everywhere. We can see also the fact that we can appreciate this beauty. Why can we appreciate this beauty? Because God desires to be known, and that just blows me away. Why would a God of that much beauty want me to know Him? the more I see the beauty around me, the more I study biological beauty, the more I'm impressed with the awesomeness of this God who desires to know me. From this, I just can't help but. I go out there and see the biological beauty. I'm awed by it. I can't help but just stop, fall to my knees and worship the God of beauty that created these things. And if anyone's there, I got to share it with them. It's just, and when I do that, this is what's cool. As I learn about God by studying beauty, as I'm enveloped in this desire to worship God because of that beauty, as I draw others into that worship, I'm fulfilling my responsibility as a creation priest. And that's your responsibility too. It's not an onerous thing, it's a cool thing. You can go out there and enjoy God's beauty, the beauty illustrated in His creation. You can allow yourself to be awed by it, allow yourself to worship in it and pull others in. And in doing so, you're fulfilling your responsibility as a priest of the creation. We have a responsibility as priests with this beauty to preserve this beauty, avoiding making it ugly, avoiding pollution that takes the beauty out of the creation. If we want to preserve the beauty that's there because it's a glorifying to God, we should focus on trying to clean up things we've made messy, trying to avoid polluting things that we pollute. We have these choices sometimes of digging into the ground to get minerals deep from the ground or stripping everything off the top of a mountain and getting it that way. One of them is a little less beautiful than the other. We can choose sometimes to avoid strip mining. Perhaps we can find better ways to get rid of our wastes than these ugly landfills. Perhaps we can choose when we're building houses and streets and all of this sort of thing. We often destroy the natural beauty of an area and then erect our houses and our asphalt roads and that sort of thing. If we worked at this a little bit and planned a little bit, so we can preserve some of the biological beauty that's already there, leave some of the trees, maybe leave parks, fill our cities with, or at least leave places in our cities with the beauty of God's creation preserved in the form of avenues and parks and so on and so forth. And whenever we've messed things up, to restore the beauty that's there whenever we can. But in addition to that, as kings of the creation, we're not just to preserve the beauty, we're to enhance the beauty we see about us, to increase the beauty. You know, the original creation was created obviously awesomely beautiful. But I believe God put potential for even more beauty into the creation than He put into it that you could see from the beginning. For example, we've found from the study of all sorts of things, but it would include orchids. In 1940, we estimate we had about 25,000 natural species of orchids. And then we figured out how to breed orchids and hybridize them. We've produced 50,000 varieties of orchids since then. Beautiful forms that apparently had never been seen before that. We created beauty. Well, you know, that's not exactly correct. The beauty was built into orchids by God. But we learned how to reveal that beauty that had never been seen before. I believe God wrapped up gifts of beauty, put beauty into the creation, wrapped them up in gifts and put them into the creation and gave us the ability to unwrap them, to reveal them, to reveal beauty that has been created by God. And if we're honest about it, we should glorify God when we see it. But also the revealing of the beauty increases the beauty of an already beautiful creation. There are in fact, and we should be doing this, we should be beautifying God's creation. There are some disciplines, some jobs, that's what they do. What does a landscaper do? A landscaper arranges and scapes and makes things beautiful, or increases the beauty of the landscaping around a house. Interior decorators increase the beauty in the inside of a house. Cosmetology increases the beauty, hopefully, of human beings. The culinary arts, the chef is able to take, it's amazing because I can't do this, it's able to take these tastes and flavors of a variety of things and weave them together into these magnificently great tasting and beautiful arrangements. I always wondered about this as a kid. I didn't think all this stuff was necessary, but I've begun to appreciate that these people are doing something pretty amazing. They're taking things that God's created, beautiful tastes and beautiful sights, and they're combining them in magnificent, new, creative ways, reflective of the nature of God, and showing people that beauty. And God put that beauty in there so that we can reveal it. And as we reveal it, we increase the glory of God. As we breed pheasants and show beauty of pheasants that's never been seen before, as we breed horses and flowers and so on, we are revealing beauty that God put in there that it wasn't seen before, and thus bring greater glory to God. And as we do so, we are fulfilling our responsibility as kings. You know, this particular topic is, I think, one of my favorites in teaching this subject, partly because students have come to me over the years and have said that before this they appreciated the prettiness of the creation, but after this they walked out and were able to enjoy the beauty of God's creation. They saw it where they didn't see it before, and they felt free to glorify God under those circumstances and to bring others in. They realized that they really could become great creation priests and could operate as better kings by preserving the beauty of the creation. And it's really made a huge impact upon them. When you add to the fact that this beauty is not just something we can enjoy, but it cannot be explained in a naturalistic worldview. It only makes sense because the God of beauty created it in such a way that we could see His beauty in it. These things bring glory to God and point to the one who created all these things.